Okay, so garlic pickles, I started doing this because our kids play sports and electrolytes are very important. But for us, I don't like them having a lot of sugar content, especially when they are being active, because it makes them sick. It spikes their insulin and all that. So we started using garlic dill pickles. For ourselves, when we're out in the heat doing stuff, we'll drink the pickle juice. We'll even eat pickles. I'll take a jar of pickles in our cooler to the ball games. Because like I said, they're a good source of electrolytes. Vitamin K, which is a great cancer preventive thing. Black pepper has properties to lower blood pressure, stabilize insulin, things like that. And then garlic is anti-inflammatory. So we started using these things to prevent us from giving our kids the Gatorades and things like that to replenish their electrolytes. So it's a really good source, and they don't know. They just know that they love pickles. Also in the wintertime, I will make them drink pickle juice to prevent colds and coughs. So it's really good for them, and they just don't even know it. So what we do when we make pickles, if I have an abundance, like the time we had 2,000 pickles, I will can them, which we'll show you how to pack the jars. But we're not going to actually can them today because we don't have 2,000. So if I have an abundance, I'll can them. If not, I'll just do a refrigerator style pickle. So if I just have a few, I'll get a couple of jars out. We'll stuff the jars, and then we'll seal them with just a regular lid and put them in the refrigerator for 7 days, and then they're good to go. And they're super crunchy like the Clausen pickles. So the girls are gonna help me stuff that. And if you will put 3 cloves of garlic in each jar. And you can kind of adjust this recipe to your liking. If you like an extra dill flavor, you can add an extra sprig or 2 in there. So if you want to put 3 sprigs in each jar. We like them really dilly. Yeah. And making pickles is really an easy thing for the kids to get involved in. We have a mandolin slicer, and I'll let the kids do it when we're going to do the chips, like for hamburgers. You just watch them. Don't let them use the mandolin. Like, make them stop about halfway because they're so sharp. You don't want to lose a baby finger. But the kids, this is a great thing for them to learn how to can because it's simple and there's no pressure canner involved. So, if you will, I'm going to find my tools now. Trusty teaspoons here. I like mine kind of spicy, so you can adjust the black peppercorns to taste. You can even omit these if you want to. But it gives it an extra kick, and it actually helps you health-wise. So put a half a teaspoon in each jar of the peppercorns. And then in that jar. And then once you get the peppercorns in there, if you girls, in this jar, will stuff your cucumbers inside your jars. Now, if you have old pickle jars from the grocery store, if you're gonna do a refrigerator style pickle, you can just use those. So you don't have to have any special lids. You can just reuse any glass jars that you have. Some people will even use big plastic containers to do refrigerator pickles. If you use the plastic ones, make sure you cool your brine all the way down. You want your brine to be cool before you put it in those plastic containers. But for glass jars, you can put your liquid in there warm. The warmer the liquid, the softer the pickle will be. Mom, do you have any of that crisper stuff? I forgot to bring mine. But in the canning section, there are a little jar of granules, and I don't know what they're called, but you can put like a half a teaspoon of these granules, and it helps keep your canned product crisp. So if you are having to use a hotter liquid, you put a teaspoon in there, and it keeps them from breaking down too much, so you don't have mushy pickles. Okay, so they have, show them your jars, girls. They have stuffed their jars, And they left, if you want to see, they didn't stuff them too tight. That way the liquid can get in there and it can breathe and pickle them real good. If you stuff them too tight, especially if you're going to do it a refrigerator style, sometimes the brine won't all the way penetrate. And I forgot to mention, I don't have to do that. Even if you're gonna can a whole pickle or a whole cucumber, or pickle a whole cucumber, you wanna cut your ends off. Those ends, especially the one that's connected to the vine, can change the flavor of your pickle and also cause it to break down faster. So always cut your pickle butts off before you stick them in there. And if you are canning them whole, that will help the brine soak all the way through the pickle. Okay, so once the jars are adequately stuffed, my liquid's still hot, so I'm not gonna let the girls do this. But if you cool the brine all the way down, you can even let your kids ladle the liquid in or just pour it straight in.
Tell me what brine is.
The brine is, it depends on how much. The brine I made today will do about 3 to 4 jars typically. And it is just 6 cups of water, 2 cups of white vinegar, and then a 1/4 cup of, you can use a kosher salt, a pink Himalayan sea salt I've used before. And then you bring your water and vinegar to a boil, and so you can dissolve your salt. And as soon as the salt's dissolved, you can remove it from the heat. Immediately add it in your jars, as long as they're not cold, which they don't seem to be cold. But if you cool it off, it's not even any worries. But just a little bit of water, vinegar, and salt dissolved. And then if you're patient, you can ladle it. I like to do things quick, so I just pour it. And then I'll cover the pickles with it, but I do not go above that rim right there. I don't want to pour it on you. It's okay, I can do it. And then, girls, if you're canning them, of course you want to use the lids that seal and use these. If you're using them or just going to do it in the refrigerator, you can use these, which I buy at Walmart. They're reusable mason jar lids. Or like I said, any old pickle jar or jar that you have that has a airtight lid, you can use that. You guys want to lid your pickles. Now, if you're like my family, we love pickles, so I have to put sticky notes everywhere when I put them in the refrigerator. Do not eat, do not open until this day, otherwise they'll get opened. But now all you do is you take your jars and you put them in the refrigerator for a week. Now, like I mentioned, if I don't warn my family to not touch them, they will get opened. We've had jars that got opened at day 4 and they were fine. They were crispy, they were dill enough, and they were good to go. But the longer you leave them in there, the more robust the flavor will be. Any questions? Has anybody ever pickled cucumbers before?
How long will those keep?
In the jar, they'll last. If you don't water bath can them, they'll last a few months. From what I've read, they don't last that long at my house because we eat them every day. If you can them, water bath can them, I'm not really sure. I guess indefinitely, because I remember as a teenager eating pickles that my great-grandmother and aunts made that were dated years, decades before us, and they were delicious. So if you put them, this is always better, you know, if you have 1,000, 2,000 pickles, that way the shelf life is indefinite. That's it. Anything else?
Great job. Thank y'all for doing it.
Thanks, girls. Now you're pickle pros. Yay. And you can eat that if you want to.